To prove humans and zombies can reproduce, I just kidnapped a clean female zombie. The disaster hit out of nowhere, turning nearly 90% of humanity into monsters. But by some wild twist of fate, I activated a romance strategy system completely unrelated to the apocalypse. Right at that moment, an incredibly gorgeous female zombie popped up out of nowhere. It clicked instantly. The romance system never specified species, plus this zombie girl is so hot that letting her walk away would be a massive waste. The second that thought crossed my mind, I grabbed a rope from my pocket. I waited for the right moment, threw it with all my strength, and lassoed that female zombie perfectly. She let out a sharp howl, but I quickly stuffed a rag in her mouth. Smelling a live human so close made her go absolutely feral. She kept thrashing and jerking her head, trying to bite me, but I was so excited I grabbed her hand. Right then, a system notification exploded in my head. Congratulations to the host for completing the hand-holding mission. Target Shenjing, unidentified female college student. Current status zombie. Favorability 0. Hand-holding reward 100 kilograms of raw meat. First kiss reward zombie virus vaccine. Full raid reward gene evolution serum. Seeing these incredible rewards, my breathing turned heavy instantly. Just that first 100 kilograms of meat is enough to feed me well for 2.5 years, let alone those other prizes. I will worry about that later. The biggest problem right now is how to raise Shencheng's favorability. After a quick thought, I reached over and pulled the rag from her mouth. She instantly began snarling at me, her sharp teeth snapping together with a terrifying sound. Without a single word, I pulled a slab of raw meat from the system space and shoved it into her mouth. The roaring stopped as she began tearing into the meat like a savage. Watching this unfold, I sighed helplessly. With those deadly fangs of hers, I definitely cannot count on that first kiss reward for a while. Just then, my neighbor's door suddenly swung open. A man and a woman walked out. The woman spoke first. "Hey, handsome. My husband and I haven't eaten in 2 days. Since you have enough to feed zombies, can you share..." These two were a newly married couple named Chen Liang and Lin Wanqi. They used to live entirely on takeout, so they had absolutely zero food at home. In my past life, I fell for their sweet talk and shared my stash. I expected gratitude, but while I was out searching for supplies, they completely looted my room and locked the door from the outside. They ignored my desperate screams. There is absolutely no way I will ever feed those ungrateful backstabbers again. But Lin Wanzi standing right here in front of me could actually be useful. The moment that thought crossed my mind, the system screen appeared. Name Lin Wanzi. Status married. Favorability 0. Hand-holding reward 100 kilograms of fresh fruits and vegetables. First kiss reward a 120 square meter fully furnished apartment. Full raid reward a 1,000 square meter luxury villa. Seeing these rewards, I could not help but smirk. That is 100 kilograms of fruits and vegetables. Are you kidding me? Even though I have plenty to eat, balanced nutrition is vital in the apocalypse. Seeing my smile, they assumed I was agreeing to their demands. Chen Liang immediately demanded way too much, saying, "First give us 10 jin of pork and 3 barrels of purified water." I nearly laughed out of sheer anger. When the hell did I agree to that? Even if I had food to waste on stray dogs, I would never give a single bite to you two ungrateful parasites. Pushing Shenjing back inside, I slammed the door. Chen Liang glared at me, seething with rage. He wanted to fight, but feared the zombie by my side. Safe inside, I secured Shen and opened the system panel. What I saw shocked me. Shenting's favorability actually went up by 5 points. I instantly recalled from my past life that evolved zombies could regain their intelligence. Could Shengxing evolve as well? Gaining 5 points of favorability just for some meat is way easier than courting a regular woman. With that in mind, I pulled out more raw meat and fed it to her, raising her favorability to 10 points. I wanted to keep farming points, but looking at her bloated stomach, I decided to stop. After gagging her again, I began planning my next moves. 1 month into the outbreak, a brutal freezing winter will strike. I only have about 20 days to prepare. Food and water are my top priorities. Warm clothes and medicine come next, which are fairly easy to find. But the ultimate challenge is securing a safe house. It must be heavily fortified and capable of maintaining a stable warm temperature during the extreme frost. Finding an existing building that checks all these boxes is practically impossible. No such place exists in all of Benhai City. But right then, a sudden light bulb went off. I remembered Lin Wanzi's first kiss reward. I immediately called out to the system, "Is the reward house already built, or does it construct itself out of thin air?" The system replied that all rewarded houses are built instantly at any location I choose. What if I have specific requirements like reinforcing it with titanium alloy, adding a hidden escape route, a medical bay, and communications gear? The system paused for a few seconds before responding. The host must provide the architectural blueprint. Equipment is not included. I was absolutely thrilled. This meant my ultimate titanium alloy shelter was actually possible. Right at that moment, there was a sudden knock on my door. Lin Wanzi was standing there entirely alone, growing incredibly anxious as the seconds ticked by. In the pitch-black hallway, a monster could lunge out from either side at any moment. Just as she turned to leave, the door finally clicked open. Relief washed over Lin Wanzi's face, but it vanished when she saw the kitchen knife in my hand. She quickly stammered, "Don't get the wrong idea. I don't have any weapons." I narrowed my eyes, scanning her up and down. Normally, she would have slapped me across the face for looking at her like that. But now, begging for my help, she could only muster a forced smile. "Can I please borrow some food?" I gave her a cold, dismissive look. "If you help me, I will. But I was not buying her empty promises. Spit out what you want, or I am shutting this door." She froze. "Aren't you terrified of getting ambushed out here right as I said it?" A chilling roar echoed down the hall. Her pretty face turned ghost white. Instantly, she had to bite the bullet and step inside. The moment I closed the door, I locked eyes with Shen Yang from the diagonally opposite apartment. He realized I had spotted him and immediately ducked back inside. I chuckled softly as I locked the door. What a natural-born Ninja Turtle, his head-tucking skills are absolute top tier. Inside, Qing Wu spotted Lin Wanqi and immediately went berserk. Terrified, Lin Wanqi jumped back by instinct, screaming as she pulled away. "Why are you keeping a zombie in your house?" "Are you scared?" she asked. I looked totally calm. "What's to be scared of? It's just a zombie." My words made her instantly compare me to Shen Yang. She probably wished her husband had half my guts so she wouldn't have to face this humiliation. Sicking of it, Lin Wanyi sighed. "Fine. What do you want me to do? Give me the food first." A few minutes later, she marched back to the living room and snapped, "I did what you asked. Where is it?" I slowly opened the fridge, letting her see it was packed with fresh meat. Right then, a thought crossed Lin Wanxi's mind. Should she just knock me out? But common sense luckily prevailed. I had actually been watching her every move. When Lin Wanxi did not attack, I felt a little disappointed. I almost got to claim self-defense. I grabbed about a pound of pork and tossed it at her feet. She stared at the meat on the floor, scowling. "That is all. That is plenty. I was only going to give you half." Originally, Lin Wanzi had no clue how precious a pound of meat is in this apocalypse. She only remembered that when Shen Liang married her, his dowry was 380,000 wen, and he even put her name on the deed. Lin Wanqi took a deep breath, finally bending down to scoop up the pork, and walked out with an icy expression. Watching her leave, I felt smug instead of angry. Her misery made my revenge taste so much sweeter. I happily pulled up my system panel. The house and the produce were marked, ready to harvest. Though my 100 square meter apartment is cramped, I can fix that. I just need another woman with a status like Lin Wanxi to expand this 100 square meter space. The real issue is finding blueprints for the safe house. Luckily, Binhai University might have some surviving students from the architecture department. Looks like I am going on a trip. Early next morning, I began looting supplies. My first target was the opposite apartment, 504. I jimmied a wire into the keyhole and popped it open in seconds. The moment I stepped inside, I heard wet chewing sounds from the bedroom. I quietly pushed the door open. A gray-haired old man was gnawing on a corpse on the bed. "Disgusting," I muttered. I grabbed my kitchen knife and swung it at the zombie. But the strike barely did any damage. It just pissed him off. He spun around and lunged at me, claws bared. I kicked his chest, sending him flying back. I rushed over and hacked at him until he finally went limp. When I looked down, I saw my kitchen knife had 2 deep dents in the blade. Just a cheap blade after all. Good for meat, but useless against thick zombie bones. I clearly need a better weapon. By noon, I had cleared every single one of the 6 apartments on the 5th floor. I killed 3 zombies, found a case of malt juice, 7 random pill bottles, and a big tub of protein powder. While the haul was great, my kitchen knife was completely ruined. Luckily, I found a baseball bat. I gave it a few test swings, and it felt perfect. Meanwhile, Lin Wanzi and Chen Liang had watched me clear the hall through their peephole. They gulped at how brutal I was, thanking their stars they hadn't crossed me earlier, or they would be dead. Only when they heard my door click shut did they dare sneak out. They searched the cleared rooms carefully, desperately, hoping to scavenge some food I missed. But I had picked the place clean. They found absolutely nothing. Damn, it was that bastard a locust in his past life. Nothing left. Wait, I think I found a steak, but it is totally moldy. Chen Liang had an idea. "Honey, go ask him for food again." Lin Wanqi looked deeply reluctant. "We just ate yesterday. We can wait a bit. We are not starving now, but we will be. Are you going to wait until he feeds it all to the zombies before asking?" Seeing her hesitate, Chen Liang grabbed her hands. Honey, I want to survive with you. We just need to hold out for the rescue team. Staring into her husband's begging eyes, Lin Wangxi gritted her teeth. Fine, I will go. Walking into my place, she was instantly hit by a mouth-watering aroma. Just then, I came out of the kitchen holding a rice cooker steaming with braised potatoes. I popped open another malt juice, sank into the sofa, and began eating. Lin Wangxi was practically drooling, but since I ignored her, she just stood there awkwardly. After a few bites, I pretended to suddenly notice her. Oh, right, I almost forgot you were here. I got up, grabbed a plate, and scooped some meat onto it. Lin Wangxi smiled, thinking it was for her. But as she reached out, I walked right past her to the sofa. After pulling the rag from Shen Xingwu's mouth, she immediately began devouring the food. Lin Wangxi stood there flushed with embarrassment. She cleared her throat to pivot. So, you cleared the 5th floor today? Yeah, I am leaving soon. I want to gather more supplies before moving on. Lin Wangxi stared at me, shocked. What you are leaving? There are zombies everywhere. Where could you possibly go? I just smirked. What's sad to see me go? Lin Wangxi practically fumed at that. Who would be sad? I cannot wait for you to drop dead. But beneath her anger, I saw a flicker of panic. If I left with all the food, she and Chen Liang would absolutely starve to death. So spit it out. Why are you really here? What do you want? I want to trade for some food. I snorted. I knew she would crawl back, but I didn't expect her to be this shameless. 4 days flew by. I spent them searching the entire building top to bottom. During this time, Shen Qingwu's appetite grew insane. At first, a half jin of meat was plenty. Now 2.5 jin barely registers, yet his stomach never bloats. If his loyalty score wasn't climbing steady, I would have stopped feeding him. I didn't care if he understood me. I just started threatening him. I've fed you for 6 days now. If you try to bite me, I will leave you here to fend for yourself. I pulled the gag out. He did not roar like before. Instead, he just opened his mouth, waiting to be fed. Bite me and you starve, got it. No answer. I will take that as a yes. I cautiously reached toward Shen Qingwu. He instantly opened his jaws to bite, but I snapped. No. He froze, startled by my voice, and tilted his head to look at me. I tried again, but he still snapped. We did this dance over a dozen times. Just as I was about to give up, he finally stopped. He just stared at my face, trying to read my expression to see if I was edible. Inside, I was absolutely thrilled. I slowly shook my head. Shen Qingwu seemed to get it. He didn't try to bite. Excited, I grabbed another piece of meat and handed it over, nodding at him. He ate it immediately. After a few more tests, I confirmed he only ate when I nodded. The training was actually working. Once he was tied up, I decided to run an experiment. First, I untied the ropes around his body. Then I placed a plate of meat on the coffee table. Shen Qingwu stood up, taking a step forward. He glanced at me sideways, then raised his hand to point at the meat on the plate. Inside, I was absolutely ecstatic. I nodded at him. Only then did Shen Qingwu grab the plate and start devouring the food. Honestly, his table manners are still as disgusting as ever. But the good news is his loyalty is already at 40%, and he is not attacking me. If I max it out to 100, I will have a completely obedient zombie partner. This is not a dating simulator. It is clearly a master and servant training system. Meanwhile, Chen Liang has been living on pins and needles lately. He figured out that I am leaving soon. Whether it is for my supplies or revenge, he wants me dead. But he cannot do it alone. After all, I am a powerhouse who can easily fight off zombies one-on-one. So Shen Liang started scheming to use his wife again. Honey, we cannot let that guy next door leave. At least not with all that food. Why don't you go ask to borrow some food again? Then unlock his door and let me in while he is asleep, and we will take him out. Overwhelmed by guilt, Lin Wangxi almost never refused him, so she finally nodded in agreement. Chen Liang got incredibly excited. Great, we will strike as soon as it gets dark. I will go prepare. Watching his back as he left, Lin Wangxi let out a bitter smile. He did not even bother to ask for a plan. It seemed he already knew exactly what to do. On my end, since I planned to depart early tomorrow, I wanted to turn in early. But right after I lay down, there was a knock at the door. I opened it with a smirk, hungry again already. When Lin Wangxi heard this, she cursed me in her head. She desperately wanted to punch my lights out, but she held back, even forcing a playful, flirty smile. I am not just hungry. Let me in. I stepped aside to let her pass. As Lin Wangxi walked by, I reached out and gave her a firm smack. That soft feel made me sigh in involuntary admiration. Lin Wangxi covered herself, glaring at me with absolute fury. You owe me an extra cookie. Seeing her choke back, her rage made me throw my head back and laugh. Who knew throwing morals out the window could feel this amazing? I do not feel a shred of pity. After how they treated me in my past life, this is just sweet karma. She lowered her head, fury burning in her eyes. Just wait until tonight is over, she thought. Let us see if you are still laughing then." A few hours later, she stumbled out leaning against the wall. It was only a short walk from the bedroom to the front door, but it took her several minutes. Once she opened it, Chen Liang slipped inside. "Well, is he asleep?" "Perfect. He is asleep. I will go end him right now." With that, Shen Liang gripped his knife tighter, but he only took a few steps before spotting a silent figure standing right by the bedroom door. Shen Liang nearly jumped out of his skin in sheer terror. "You said he was asleep." Lin Wanzi was terrified, but quickly noticed something was off. "That is the zombie he keeps. How did it break free? Babe, what do we do? Maybe we should run." Chen Liang was conflicted. He was terrified of the undead, but he knew if he missed tonight, he would never get another chance. Besides, Shen Qingwu looked sluggish and dim-witted, making Shen Liang think he could easily take him down. But to play it safe, he whispered to her, "Babe, you go distract him, and I will take him out from behind." Hearing this, Lin Wanzi trembled all over with terror. "Relax, I will not let him hurt you." Chen Liang promised, though, he was entirely prepared to throw his own wife under the bus at any second. But Lin Wanzi was not about to agree. She did not love him enough to die for him. Just then, my annoyed voice echoed from the door. "How long are you two planning to stand there whispering?" Hearing my voice, their hearts nearly leaped straight out of their chests. "You were not even asleep." "Well, with you two making all this noise, I would have woken up even if I had been sound asleep." Seeing my calm, casual smile, Lin Wanzi turned pale as a sheet. "Babe, let the zombie block him. Let us get out of here now." "You mean this guy?" Under their disbelieving stares, I reached up and ruffled Shen Xingu's hair. Instead of biting me, he just stood there like an obedient pet, letting me pet him. That sight absolutely terrified them. "That is impossible." "Fine, you look like a monster. But why do you not act like other zombies at all?" Shen Liang suddenly shoved Lin Wanqi right at me, then bolted for the exit. He barely took 2 steps before I caught up and knocked him down with a bat. "Wait, let me talk." "Please do not kill me," but I did not waste time talking. I finished him off quickly and cleanly. Watching this, Lin Wanqing was scared out of her mind. This was all Shen Liang's idea. "He is the one who wanted to harm you. I had nothing to do with it. Please spare me. I swear I will serve you as my master forever." Lin Wanqi still held on to a tiny shred of hope, thinking I would show mercy. But I looked at her coldly. "You are not sorry for what you did. You are just sorry you are dying." Right then, Shen Xingwu walked over and pointed at the 2 corpses on the floor. I shook my head. "No good, these are already spoiled." Early the next morning, I took Shen Xinghua and rode my motorcycle out of the building. Naturally, the loud engine drew crowds of undead along the way, but these slow, mindless creatures could not keep up at all. They could only watch helplessly as I sped off into the distance. When we reached Binhai University, aiming to lose the massive horde behind us, I looked for a random building to hide in. Suddenly, a voice shouted. Over here, I hesitated for a fraction of a second, then dumped my bike and ran toward the noise. The person who had called out saw me approaching and quickly backed away from the window. I planted a hand on the sill and vaulted inside with a smooth hurdle, but Shen Xingwu's body was too stiff and he did not know how to climb through. He just stood there outside, looking completely lost. A couple of helpful students stepped forward to assist him, but I pushed them away. "No need, I have got this." With that, I leaned out, grabbed Shen Xingwu under his arms, and pulled him inside. Effortlessly. Right then, a guy who looked like some spoiled rich kid spoke up. "You must be sent by my dad to rescue us, right? His name is Guo Chongyu. Relying on his status as a wealthy heir, he had convinced everyone his family was sending help, making himself the leader of this survivor group." I completely ignored his outstretched hand. "Who are you, anyway?" "Do I know you?" Gu Changyu's face instantly twisted in anger. He had only spoken up to show off, and I had completely embarrassed him. Desperate to save face, he tried to act like a leader. "So you are just another survivor, then? In that case, you need to follow our rules." Seeing this, one of his goons stepped forward to grab my backpack. I slapped his hand away and backed up. "What is your problem?" Guo Chongyu put on a righteous front. "For the sake of everyone's survival, hand over your gear. We will share it." I snorted coldly. "Whether you live or die is none of my business." Hearing that, Guo Chongyu raised his voice so everyone could hear. "If everyone was as selfish as you," he claimed that without them we would have starved and they were just rationing supplies. I couldn't stand his voice anymore and cut him off. I told him point blank that their lives were none of my business. I wasn't teaming up and I wasn't sharing my food. Guo Chongyu smiled coldly, pointing outside. He told me to get lost, but right outside the zombies he had lured over were already clawing at the glass, drooling and hungry for a meal. I wasn't about to run. I still had things to do here. With so many empty classrooms, I'd stay a few days and leave, but the coddled students preferred listening to Gu Changyu instead. They surrounded me, screaming, "How dare you talk to young Master Gu like that? If we hadn't saved you, you'd be dead. Besides, this is our school." "What right does an outsider have to stay here?" I just smirked. Seriously, trying to argue logic in a zombie apocalypse. What if I decide to stay by force? These sheltered kids had never seen real violence. How could they fight someone like me who literally crawled out of a mountain of corpses just as things were about to turn bloody? An elegant woman named Luhua walked in. She asked what was happening, and some kid complained that I was a freeloader they were trying to kick out. Luhua frowned. She told them to let me stay, since there were plenty of empty rooms. Kicking me out was a death sentence. She ordered everyone to disperse immediately. The students looked at Guo Chengyu leaving only after he nodded. Then Luhua looked past me, her eyes landing on Shenqing Wu. She asked if she was my sister. She complimented her looks and asked for her name, wondering why her eyes were so red. But my sister completely ignored her. I jumped in quickly to make an excuse. I claimed she was wearing colored contact lenses, explaining that she was just shy and quiet. Luhua bought my lie since she had never seen a passive, non-biting zombie. She told me we could stay. Floors 1 to 3 were safe, and we could choose any room, but she warned me that the upper floors were incredibly dangerous. By noon, over a dozen students were lining up outside a classroom labeled as the warehouse. They were waiting for their daily food rations, but only got a few biscuits. Meanwhile, Gu Chengyu was inside gorging on stolen chicken legs, but suddenly a rich, savory aroma of cooking meat drifted over, making everyone in line freeze and turn their heads. They traced the scent and bolted downstairs. Right then, in my second-floor classroom, I was busy building a small fire to cook up a hot, delicious meal. The crowd watched with pure jealous hunger. Gu Chengyu marched right in, asking to trade some of their food for mine. I ignored him. Their moldy scraps were pathetic. They tasted like trash and barely kept anyone alive. Gu Chengyu tried to negotiate, but I wasn't listening. I grabbed a steaming bowl of meat and walked outside. I asked if they wanted to eat. They nodded like crazy. Then I cleared my throat and asked if anyone was an architecture major. The crowd went dead silent. Eventually someone muttered that the architecture majors were trapped in the other building and were likely all zombies. Hearing that, my heart sank in disappointment. My entire reason for visiting this school was to find someone to design safe house blueprints. It felt like a waste of time. But then a quiet voice spoke up. She claimed she was an architecture major. Everyone turned to look. She was a timid-looking girl with braids and thick-rimmed glasses, clearly terrified of all the sudden attention. With everyone staring, she looked incredibly nervous. I eyed her skeptically. She seemed so skittish I figured she was just trying to scam me for some hot food. She noticed my doubt. The braided girl summoned her courage, claiming her name was Ruan Yuan Yuan, the top student in her class. She told me I could ask any classmate to verify it. I told her I believed her, but asked if she could actually draw the blueprints. She looked up in absolute shock. I only trusted her because of my system panel. The screen in front of me showed her name, Ruan Yuan Yuan, affection level 0, and a hand-holding reward, a solar power generator, or a sewage purification device. A first kiss would unlock a full monitoring system, and complete conquest offered 4 automatic turrets plus 100 rounds of specialized ammunition. These system rewards were insane. If I could unlock them all, my safe house would get a massive upgrade. Hearing my offer, Ruan Yuan Yuan nodded eagerly, confirming she could. When I asked if she could design highly customized, secure architectural blueprints, she looked utterly confused by my request. But for the sake of survival, she quickly agreed. I hired her immediately, promising 1 bowl of meat and vegetables daily. She was already thrilled just to get meat. Getting fresh greens was an unexpected bonus, so she happily accepted. While she celebrated, Gu Chengyu glared at me with pure hatred before slinking away with his lackeys. In the stairwell, a lackey named Liu Ya checked for eavesdroppers before whispering to him, complaining that I was way too arrogant and needed to be handled. He suggested killing me, but Guo Chengyu hesitated. He reminded his goon how easily I had killed those zombies earlier. We were simply no match for him yet. Guo wanted me dead more than anyone, but lacked the power. Liu Ya wanted to argue, but Gu Chengyu just walked away. Liu Ya snorted in frustration, watching his back. He muttered that Gu ate fancy meals daily while he was starving. He vowed to find a way to steal my massive stockpile of supplies for himself, no matter what. Meanwhile, Ruan Yuan Yuan finished eating, looking like she wanted seconds. When I offered her more, she shook her head and politely declined, saying she was fine. She insisted she had eaten her daily pay, and taking more now meant starving tomorrow. I was stunned by her discipline. "All right, let's get to work then." She agreed and booted up her laptop. She asked what I wanted. I told her I needed a secure, safe house blueprint around 100 square meters. It had to be fortified with a warehouse escape route lounge and bathroom. She replied that 100 meters was too small if we wanted a greenhouse and livestock pens. I stared at her, impressed. She was thinking much further ahead than me. She noted we also needed space for future expansion. She promised to start immediately. Excited, I asked how long the design would take. She estimated a few days, plus extra time for any necessary revisions. I frowned immediately. Based on my memories of my past life, a devastating cold wave would hit in just over a week. If our safe house wasn't ready, we'd freeze to death inside this drafty school building. I told her I needed the final drawings within 7 days. She hesitated briefly, but her eyes locked onto mine with fierce determination. She agreed to the timeline. Afterward, I took Shen-Qing Wu up to the roof to scout locations. Soon I spotted a perfect clearing behind the school hill. It was hidden by buildings in front and backed by a steep mountain. Nobody could find it easily, and the area was mostly free of zombies. Since they were around here, I grabbed my baseball bat and prepared to clear the area. Slipping out of the first-floor window, I looked around. 4 zombies were wandering nearby. Even though I quietly bashed the first one to death, I still alerted the other 3. The zombie, charging ahead, wore a t-shirt, looking like a PE student back when he was alive. Unlike those slow-moving walkers, this PE student zombie ran incredibly fast. He rushed right in front of me in the blink of an eye. I calmly stepped aside, dodging him, and swung my bat right after him. Turns out that tough guy PE student could still move after taking the hit. I immediately whacked him again with the bat, but just then a third zombie pounced right at me. I swept his legs, knocking him to the ground, and finished him with 2 hard hits. But by then the last zombie lunged at me. Before I could even stand, I was tackled flat on the floor. The creature opened its bloody mouth wide, gnawing hard on my baseball bat. I cursed under my breath, desperately trying to shake the zombie off me, but I could not break its grip. After several failed attempts, just as I gathered my strength to push again, a slender, small hand grabbed the monster by its neck and flung it away. I spun my head in total shock, only to see that the savior was Shen-Qing Wu. Suddenly, the tossed zombie scrambled back, growling and charging us again. Before I could even stand, Shen-Qing Wu lunged forward and grabbed the zombie's neck, twisting it with a sharp, sickening crack. Its head slumped to the side as it crashed to the ground. Holy crap. I never expected Shen-Qing Wu, who looked so delicate and fragile, to be this strong. It seemed my theory was right. She really was evolving. Ever since her gray skin began slowly turning soft and pink, I suspected it. Now it is finally confirmed. I pulled up the system panel to check her stats, and her favorability rating had jumped to 50. This is so much easier than dealing with real women, no expensive designer bags or makeup needed. Just feed her and she is happy. Plus, she actually protects me. Shen-Qing Wu, who was being stared at, showed absolutely no expression, as if she had nothing to do with it. After catching my breath, I kept clearing out the undead. Shen-Qing Wu only stepped in when my life was in actual danger. The rest of the time, she just stood there, watching, silently. Looks like if I want her to follow my commands, I need to keep raising her favorability. I cleared the area until dusk, then headed back into the school building. Slipping into the men's locker room, I was just about to strip and wash off the blood on me when I realized Shen-Qing Wu had followed me inside. Showering in front of a woman was definitely a first for me, and while it felt incredibly awkward, I reminded myself she is basically just a zombie. Once I finished washing up, I was about to put on clean clothes when my eyes drifted to her. I do not know if the undead can sweat, but that recent fight had covered her in splattered blood, so I figured I should clean her up too. Right then she was staring straight at me. I knew she had no concept of gender, but my face flushed anyway. Gritting my teeth, I quickly unzipped her clothes. Her pale, flawless skin was breathtaking, and just looking at her made my heart start racing. I kept chanting in my head that she is a zombie, which was the only way to keep my cool. I washed her down as fast as I could. A minute later, we were done. I looked up and stared directly at Shen-Qing Wu. There, that should feel a lot cleaner, right? But she just kept staring deep into my eyes. Unlike before, there actually seemed to be a flicker of emotion in her gaze. I was not sure if I was imagining things, so I leaned in closer out of sheer curiosity. The next second, her body suddenly tilted forward right toward me. I completely did not expect her to move like that, leaving me zero time to react. But the brutal bite I prepared for never came. Instead, a soft, slightly sweet sensation brushed against my lips. I froze, totally paralyzed, until the system chime suddenly rang out. Congratulations, host. You have unlocked the first kiss reward. Once the zombie vaccine is administered, you will be permanently immune to infection. I immediately checked her favorability levels on the panel and gasped. Who knew that giving her a simple bath would make her rating skyrocket to 60? That is straight-up affection territory. Shutting the screen, I stared at her and asked, "Do you actually feel anything now?" She tilted her head, looking adorable, yet completely lost. She obviously could not process such a complex concept, so I tried a much simpler question. "Can you understand what I am saying?" This time she nodded. I asked a few more things, but whenever the questions got too complex, she would just zone out, meaning it is still too risky to let her operate on her own. But as her favorability rises, she might actually regain human emotions, allowing her to eventually comprehend more complicated orders. For now, though, we needed to get out of this bathroom. Back in our classroom, I asked UN for info and learned the mini fire station is right next to the administration building's entrance. But getting there meant we would have to bypass the massive horde of zombies on the playground. I memorized the details, then told Ruan Yuan to head back and get some sleep. Soon, only Shen Qingwu and I remained. I pulled out the virus vaccine, jabbed it directly into my arm, and injected the whole dose. Now the undead are barely a threat to me. Meanwhile, up on the third floor of the school building, 2 figures were sneaking toward the stairwell. One of them looked terrified, asking, "Is this really safe?" The other guy scoffed and said, "What could go wrong? No matter how tough he is, there are only 2 of them. One is literally a little girl." Tiger: "You are not actually scared of a kid, are you?" This speaker was Liu Ye. Pretty soon the 2 of them crept up to my classroom. They checked the entrance, but found both the front and back doors locked from the inside. But that was nothing to Liu Ye, a professional at skipping class. He fiddled with the window frame for a second, popped it open, then nimbly flipped himself inside. Tiger was nowhere near as agile. He managed to swing one leg over the sill and sit on the edge, but just as he was bringing his other leg inside, he spotted a short figure in the darkness, abruptly stand up. Terrified, he began to stutter. "Liu Ye, there is someone in here." Liu Ye immediately went on high alert, but it was already too late. He felt a sudden freezing sensation in his ribs. A slender arm had already driven straight through his chest cavity. Tiger was completely scared out of his wits, spinning around to flee, but another hand instantly pierced clean through his chest. Shen Qingwu stared at the fresh blood coating her fingers. A sudden violent hunger surged in her mind, driving her to lick it off, but she barely managed to resist the urge in the end. When I woke up the next morning, I saw her excitedly holding up her blood-stained hands. My gaze hardened instantly. "What on earth happened here, Shen Qingwu?" She glanced toward the window. Following her gaze, I saw one body slumped on the floor and another leaning against the frame, both with gaping chest wounds. A set of nunchucks lay right next to them. I pieced it together immediately, but then Shen Qingwu grabbed my arm and tugged it back and forth. I realized what she wanted, so I led her to the bathroom to wash the dried blood off her hands. Back in the classroom, I had just finished tossing the corpses out the window when Ruan Yuan walked in with a laptop nodding to me. She sat down at the desk and booted it up. A moment later, Guo Chungyu's punchable face popped through the classroom doorway. "Where is Liu Ye? What did you do to him?" I stared at him calmly. Who is Liu Ye? Cut the crap. The guy with the bright green hair that clicked. So one of those 2 idiots from last night was named Liu Ye. But I kept playing dumb. No idea what you are talking about. I don't know any Liu Ye. You think I will buy that he didn't go missing before or after you showed up? Who else did it if not you? What the hell are you barking for? If someone is gone, go look for them. Stop shouting nonsense at me. Our loud arguing drew a crowd of curious students. Liu. He was right there with them, asking with confusion, "What is wrong? What is going on?" Guo Changyu's tone softened slightly. "Liu Ye and Tiaja are missing." Liu, he thought for a moment. Maybe they went out for supplies impossible. Without my orders, they would never leave on their own. I cut in right then. Are you really that sure they even listened to you? Maybe they are fed up. For all you know, they bailed while you slept. Guo Changyu's eyes turned red with rage. He wanted to fight me right there, but too bad he can't beat me. Liu, he tried to diffuse the tense atmosphere. Maybe the 2 of them really went out. They will be back later. Just wait a bit. I'll trust Liu. He this once. But if they aren't back by dark, you will pay for this. After dropping that harsh threat, Guo Changyu walked off with a cold sneer. As he passed the warehouse, the bespectacled guard reported, "Young Master Guo, we are running low on food." "Then send people out to find some." "Got it, I'll set that up right away." The guard turned to leave, but Guo Changyu stopped him. "Wait, use this new list to arrange tasks." The names on that list belonged to people who barely followed his orders anyway. Troublemakers like that in the camp were useless. Might as well send them out for supplies. If they die, he saves food. It was killing 2 birds with 1 stone. At that thought, a wicked smirk slowly crept onto Guo Changyu's face, turning into a pleased, scheming grin. Soon, this camp would only have people who did exactly what he wanted. Then he could finally teach a lesson to the guy who made him lose so much face. Suddenly, a soft, seductive voice echoed nearby. "Young Master Guo, there you are. I have been looking everywhere for you." Guo Changyu looked up. Jiang Weiwei, completely dolled up, was walking over. "What are you doing here? Where is Lu? Why isn't he with you? One of our classmates has a fever, so he's busy taking care of them." Hearing this, a creepy, perverted grin spread across Guo Changyu's face. Since Lu He was occupied, this was the perfect chance to blow off some steam. His gaze toward Jiang Weiwei turned totally sick and twisted. "What do you need from me?" Jiang Weiwei bit her lip. "Can't I come see you without needing anything?" "Of course you can. I have been thinking about you, too." A shy look flashed in her eyes. "Oh, you are so annoying. You're embarrassing me." Seeing her play coy, Guo Changyu felt a sudden rush of heat to his gut, and a wave of raw lust took over. He eagerly reached to wrap his arm around her waist, but she nimbly slipped away. "Young Master Guo, aren't you worried someone will see us? I'd be so embarrassed." Guo burst out laughing. "Tell you what, I'm going to the warehouse to check on our supplies. Come with me." Jiang Weiwei nodded eagerly. "Sure, of course." They slipped into the dark room. Guo Changyu quickly locked the heavy door behind them. He leaned in to kiss her, but she dodged him again with a quick step. Guo Changyu was so anxious he was fidgeting nonstop. "Come on now." What Jiang Weiwei glanced around at the supplies in the warehouse, speaking casually. "Young Master Guo, it looks like we are running low on food." He shrugged. "It's enough until my dad's team rescues us." He began undressing as he spoke. "Cut the crap. Hurry up, we will get caught." Jiang Weiwei laughed softly. "Young Master Guo, can your dad actually send people to save you?" Guo Changyu froze. "What's that supposed to mean?" Jiang Weiwei giggled, waving it off. "Just guessing. Don't be so nervous." "Oh, right, I just remembered Lu. He asked me for a favor. See you, young master." With that, she walked out, leaving Guo Changyu standing there completely alone, like a total clown. Meanwhile, I was clearing out zombies when distant cries for help caught my attention. Gripping my baseball bat, I looked over toward the building window. A woman was screaming down at me. I groaned to myself. Is she trying to get killed? Shouting for help in a zombie apocalypse is incredibly dangerous. I knew she wanted my help, but I had absolutely no intention of saving her. Still, her screaming accidentally did me a favor. The surrounding zombies heard her and started shuffling toward the noise. I told Shen Qingwu, "Let's go. We get to clock out early today." Inside, the frantic woman watched us leave in panic. Where are they going? Can't they hear me? As the horde pressed closer, she fell silent and began weeping. Meanwhile, back in the classroom, I asked Ruo Yuanyuan, "Did you hear that woman screaming?" She nodded. "Yeah, sounded like Teacher Wen." "You know her. She's the school doctor here." I thought for a moment. "You want me to rescue her?" My question made her freeze, hand hovering over the mouse. "I just think she might be useful to you." "Oh, and that is the admin building." "Got it." Later, I took Shen Qingwu to get cleaned up. 2 days flew by. Our survivor count took another hit. When I first arrived, there were 50 survivors. Now we are down to barely 30. A quiet panic started spreading. One day, I pointed at Shen Qingwu and told Ruo Yuanyuan, "Keep an eye on her for me. I'm heading to the administrative building, and bringing her along is just too much hassle." I purposely waited 2 days to rescue her, to let Wen Ning fall into utter despair first. That way, when I finally rescue her, she will be incredibly grateful. Half an hour later, I arrived. But there were over a dozen zombies lurking nearby. No way I could stealth my way through this. Gotta move fast. Taking a deep breath, I bolted straight toward the small fire station. The zombies spotted me, instantly growling as they closed the distance. I sprinted at full speed, and right before they could surround me, I burst inside. 2 walkie-talkies, a fire axe, and an escape rope. I grabbed everything. But while I was busy looting supplies, I didn't notice the zombies were already 3 meters away. Luckily, I reacted quickly and scrambled into the 3rd-floor restroom. Inside, Wen Ning was already semi-conscious. In her dazed state, she barely heard the loud crash of a door being kicked open, followed by a voice. "Is she dead? Damn, am I too late?" Wen Ning's eyes snapped open, and she screamed with everything she had, "I'm alive, save me." I tossed her a baseball bat. "Can you move? Grab that weapon if you want to live." She gritted her teeth, pulling herself up. "I'm okay." I let her out and spotted a zombie. I stepped forward and buried my axe deep inside the zombie's skull. 1 hit, and the thing went limp. I sighed, looking down. Man, this weapon, it works so much better. Behind me, Wen Ning stood completely frozen, shocked at how easy I made this look. By the time I reached the stairs, she finally snapped out of her daze and rushed to catch up. The stairwell was packed with the undead that had followed me inside. Out in the open, being surrounded would mean death, as they would attack from every angle. But here on a narrow staircase, they can only reach me one by one. I had the clear advantage, and honestly, I felt pretty confident. Plus, holding the high ground let me easily slice into their heads and necks. Minutes later, dead bodies piled high on the steps, leaving Wen-Ning totally speechless once again. In her eyes, I must have looked like some sort of badass hero, but suddenly something grabbed her ankle. She gasped, looking down at a female zombie with half its face torn away right at her feet. She froze instantly, trembling with absolute terror as tears welled in her eyes. I stood by without moving a finger. "Are you going to swing that bat, or are you planning to keep it as a New Year's gift?" Her face flushed bright red. Hearing my teasing, she raised the bat over her head, closed her eyes, and swung with all her might. Good, I had watched the whole thing coldly, having left that lone zombie on purpose. It was harsh, but she needed a wake-up call to toughen up fast. I nodded. "You did well." Hearing my praise, she looked happier than she had in days. Not long after, Ruo and Yuan was leaning out the window, shouting excitedly that we were back. Shen Qingwu stood right beside her, his poker face completely blank, though his eyes locked onto us from the distance. A crowd of curious students had gathered nearby, including Jiang Weiwei, who was staring out at us with wide, eager eyes. As I led Wen-Ning over to the window, Jiang Weiwei pushed past Ruo and Yuan, threw the sash open, and reached a hand out to me. I ignored her completely, leaping straight through the opening by myself. Wen-Ning, however, took Jiang Weiwei's hand and scrambled inside with some effort. Once she got her footing, she breathed out a quick thank you to her. Jiang Weiwei gave a somewhat stiff smile. "You are welcome. Glad you could join us, teacher." Suddenly, the other students swarmed Wen-Ning, asking a million questions at once. It was clear she was highly popular among them. Ignoring the loud chatter, I walked upstairs with Shen Qingwu. "Wait for me." Wen-Ning called out quickly, abandoning the group to follow me up the stairs. The students exchanged puzzled glances, wondering why their teacher was running off after me. Up on the second floor, 4 women had gathered in the hallway, stopping outside my door. Ruo and Yuan pushed her glasses up warily, scanning the other 3. Out of everyone here, she felt she had the only real reason to be here, though she had no clue why the others showed up. I was momentarily surprised to see them all at my door, but quickly recovered and lifted the pot lid. A rich, mouth-watering aroma filled the room, making all 4 girls swallow hard. I scooped out a hot bowl of food for Shen Qingwu and another one for myself, before handing a third bowl to Ruo and Yuan. She ate happily, casting a smug look at the other girls. Minyao, who had been starving for days, was running entirely on willpower. Smelling the food, she had the most dramatic reaction, practically drooling a river. Still, she managed to muster up enough strength to look up and say, "Thank you for saving me." Just then, a blue system panel flashed before my eyes. Target Wen-Ning, Identity School Doctor, Current Favorability 50, Hand-Holding Reward, Professional Medical Kit and Medical Skill Guide, First Kiss Reward, Zombie Virus Vaccine, Maximum Favorability Reward, Advanced Hospital Equipment. A smirk played on my lips. Playing hard to get and ignoring her earlier really paid off. Her favorability rating just leaped straight to 50%. I looked at Wen-Ning. "Want some food? I really do. Work for me, and I will give you the same deal, 1 bowl of meat and veg every day as everyone else." Hearing this, Ruo and Yuan suddenly felt her meat lose its delicious flavor. Wen-Ning agreed immediately, saying there was absolutely no problem at all. I scooped her a portion, and she immediately began wolfing it down, clearly starving. Next, I shifted my gaze toward the other 2 girls in the room. Target Luhi, Identity Art Student and Pianist. Favorability, 0. Hand-Holding Reward Master. Piano Skills. First Kiss Reward. Complete Classical Sheet Music Collection. Max Favorability Reward Absolute Piano Talent. Target Jiang Weiwei, Identity Gold Digger Student. Favorability 10. Hand-Holding Reward 1 car. First Kiss Reward 100 square meter apartment. Max Favorability Reward. After checking with the system in my mind, I learned the rewarded vehicle could be any model I specified, from sports cars to a Ferrari or even off-road trucks and heavy tanks. Plus, that 100 square meter apartment was a great prize. It could instantly double the size of my current safe house, making Jiang Weiwei a surprisingly valuable asset. As for Luhi's piano-themed rewards, they were pretty useless right now. Jiang Weiwei noticed my shifting gaze and flipped her hair coquettishly, asking if she could work for me too. Ruo and Yuan cringed so hard she got goosebumps, feeling a deep wave of disgust roll over her inside. Still, she doubted the seduction act would work, knowing I usually only kept useful people around. But to her utter surprise, I actually nodded and accepted. Sure, same pay as the others. Hearing this, Ruo and Yuan's eyes nearly popped out of her head. What could a girl like Jiang Weiwei possibly contribute to earn the same treatment? Right then, Jiang Weiwei took the bowl from my hands, her fingers brushing against mine with deliberate care. I caught her brief hesitation and offered, "You can always stay behind, you know." She quickly replied, "Of course, I'm coming with you." Zhang Weiwei was smart enough to know staying meant certain death, so joining me was her best gamble. Our conversation drew a crowd of nearby students who immediately began whispering and wondering where exactly we were planning to go in this mess. Some grumbled that it was good riddance since they had hated us anyway. Luhi stood in the back listening to their chatter with a deep, worried frown creasing his forehead. Even though I had harshly rejected him the day before, he could not bear to watch us march to our doom. Breaking away from the crowd, he stepped right in front of me. "Where are you going?" "We are leaving," I replied. "It is not like any of you actually want us here anyway, right?" My sharp question left Luhi completely speechless. He opened his mouth to reply, but a cold voice cut in from the crowd behind him. "Exactly, we really do not want you here. But the others can stay. Teacher Ning, you are the school nurse, so please stay with us. We really need you." That guy, Guo Chongyu, knew exactly how crucial a medic was. He was clearly trying to guilt-trip Wen Ning using those students. I immediately saw red. Hell, he was poaching people right under my nose. But before I could speak, Ming Yao stepped forward. "There is no medicine here anyway. No point in staying. I am leaving with them. But you are a teacher. Even if you do nothing, everyone feels safer just having you around," Guo Chongyu argued again. But Wen Ning did not waver at all. She was dead set on coming with me. Seeing he could not change Wen Ning's mind, Guo Chongyu did not bother asking anyone else. To him, anyone besides her like Ruan Wanyuan and Zhang Weiwei was just complete dead weight. "Cut the crap, let's go." I had no desire to argue with him further. I turned around and walked out, and the girls immediately followed right behind me. Since the apocalypse began, this was Zhang Weiwei's first time leaving the building. She was so terrified she kept looking around, ready to bolt at any second. But to her immense relief, there were no active undead around, only piles of decaying zombie bodies scattered all over the dirt. When we finally reached the empty field behind the school, I stopped walking. Seeing this, Zhang Weiwei panicked instantly. "Why are we stopping? There are no monsters around right now. We need to hurry and get out of here." "We are already here. What do you mean here? How can we survive in the middle of nowhere? Is he insane?" I knew I shouldn't have followed him. I ignored her frantic thoughts. My entire focus was on my system. System claimed the property reward. Blueprint detected. Build. Now yes. The moment that thought crossed my mind, a massive steel fortress erupted from the empty dirt. The sight unfolding right before our eyes left everyone completely speechless, their jaws dropping in utter disbelief. Ruan Wanyuan recognized it first. The structure of the building matched her exact design blueprint. She stared at me in absolute shock, opening her mouth to speak, but I cut her off immediately. "Do not ask questions. All you need to know is that I can keep you alive." Instantly, Zhang Weiwei's panic vanished, replaced by sheer overwhelming joy. She looked ready to fling herself into my arms. I headed straight for the shelter. The front entrance was heavy titanium alloy secured with an advanced fingerprint scanner. After scanning my own finger, I registered Shen Qingwu's print, too mostly on a whim. As for Wen Ning and Ruan Wanyuan, they would have to wait until their favorability reached 60. And Zhang Weiwei. She is far too calculating, always plotting something. If her favorability level does not hit 80, she can forget about getting access. The heavy titanium door slid open and I ushered everyone inside. It was compact, featuring just one living area, 3 small bedrooms, a single bathroom, and a storage pantry. Still, the system was generous. It came fully furnished and even included a diesel generator, though they only provided 1 barrel of fuel. The girls looked around in absolute wonder. Gasps of excitement filled the air. "Oh my God, there's a real bathtub with hot water. And look at this pantry. It actually has a built-in refrigerator. This is incredible. There are real beds and even a couch in the living room." Hearing their amazed reactions, I could not help but grin. This was just the start. As long as I kept completing those favorability quests, my shelter would expand, unlocking better upgrades and new features along the way. Just then, Zhang Weiwei spoke up. "Let's assign the rooms. The boss gets his own space, Ruan Wanyuan, and I will share, and Teacher Wen can room with Shen Qingwu." But Ruan Wanyuan immediately objected. "No way I am sharing with you. I want a room with Teacher Wen." Shen Qingwu stayed quiet, merely tugging gently at my shirt sleeve. Fine Zhang Weiwei relented. The boss shares with his sister, and Ruan Wanyuan stays with Teacher Wen. Yet Ruan Wanyuan still did not look pleased. "Why do you get a private room, then? You know how close the boss is with his sister. Besides, you refuse to room with me, so what choice do I have?" I actually have a better idea. Why don't you just sleep on the living room floor? Are you trying to start a fight with me, Ruan Wanyuan?" Seeing them on the verge of a screaming match, I raised my voice. "Enough, both of you. We are going with the setup Zhang Weiwei suggested." They shut up instantly. Ruan Wanyuan dragged Wenning into their room, visibly annoyed. Jiang Weiwei shut her door too, leaving everyone wondering what she was up to. I wanted to explore more, but Shen Qingwu clung tightly to my arm and refused to let go. Pointing toward our designated bedroom, she looked up and mumbled 2 quiet words in her sweet voice. Go sleep. I wanted to refuse, but those big innocent eyes made it impossible. Besides, after being on constant high alert for days, exhaustion was finally catching up with me. I collapsed onto the mattress, and Shen Qingwu immediately curled up beside me, snuggling into my chest like a quiet little kitten. I turned over, wrapped my arms around her, and drifted off. Shen Qingwu, however, was wide awake. She simply pressed her face against my chest, quietly listening to the steady beat of my heart. Meanwhile, back at the school building, a few students noticed our sudden fortress. Confused, they ran to report it to Guo Chongyu. He listened to them with a look of pure bewilderment, having absolutely no memory of any structure sitting behind the school. Yet strangely, his mind insisted the building had always been there, even though no one had witnessed its construction. Under the reality-altering influence of my system, everyone naturally accepted the fortress as a completely normal part of the campus. Guo Chongyu stared hard at the reporting student. Did you actually watch that outsider lead those people inside? Yes, young Master Guo. That place looks incredibly secure. Should we go over there and take it by force? Are you a complete idiot? If we want security, this campus building is more than safe enough. Why abandon this massive space just to squeeze into some cramped, pathetic shack? Do you have a brain defect? Or do I? When my eyes finally opened, it was already 5 p.m. Still groggy, I felt a tiny hand squirming underneath me. I jolted awake instantly, grabbing her mischievous little wrist. What are you trying to do? Shen Qingwu just blinked her large innocent eyes and remained silent. I gently pinched her cheek. Stop playing dumb, I know you understand me. Hungry. It clicked then. The poor kid was starving. She had avoided waking me up, attempting to find food, all on her own instead. Unfortunately, she had no idea what she was doing leaving her empty-handed. All right, I will get up and cook us something right now. Stepping into the living room, I found the other 3 gathered together. The moment Ruan Wanyuan spotted me, she called out, Boss, hurry! You need to look at this monitor. The screen displayed the camera feed from outside. Tiny white specks were drifting down from the sky, vanishing almost instantly. Ruan Wanyuan asked, Is that Catkin? No, it is snow. Being from the north, Wen Ning recognized it instantly. However, our 2 local companions refused to believe a word of it. No way, we are in High City. I have never seen snow in my life. But deep down, I knew the dark truth behind this bizarre weather. The 4th apocalyptic disaster had finally arrived. From what I remembered of my past life, this snow would fall for 3 whole days, and the temperature was going to plunge fast. By the 3rd day, people will freeze into popsicles instantly. No way. I can't just sit around doing nothing for these 3 days. We have to act while the snow's just starting and stock up on more supplies right away. Ruan Yuan Yuan, what do they sell at your campus supermarket? She was stunned for a second, but seeing how serious my face was, she immediately started explaining in earnest. Turns out the shopping area at Binhai University that they call a supermarket is basically no different from a small mall. They have got all kinds of food and daily essentials. Students do not even need to leave campus to buy what they want. So this supermarket run is an absolute must, but not right now. We have to wait a bit longer. The next day after lunch, I gave Jiang Weiwei and Wenning direct orders. Get ready, you 2. You are coming with Qingjiao and me. At those words, Jiang Weiwei's face instantly fell. If she had a choice, she would stay in the safe house forever. So she started trying to play cute. Boss, can I stay inside? I looked at her deadpan. Sure, but I do not keep dead weight on my turf. Fine, I will go. Do you have to be so intimidating? Can't I even ask a question? I added another line right after. Remember to dress warmly. It is freezing out there. Ruan Yuan Yuan got super anxious when she realized she was being ignored. She was seriously worked up. What about me? Your job is to draw up the base plans. Relax, I will not kick you out for nothing. Hearing that Ruan Yuan Yuan finally breathed a sigh of relief. She really thought she was the dead weight I meant. The second we stepped outside the safe house, the snow was already past our ankles. Huge goose feather snowflakes were still drifting down from the sky. The worst part was the biting cold. The real field temperature was likely below 0. Even though Jiang Weiwei and Wen Ning wore several extra layers, they were still freezing their butts off. Their voices were shaking when they spoke. It is so cold, boss. Can we just go back instead? Don't worry. We will warm up once we get in the truck. Jiang Weiwei looked confusedly where I was pointing. She gasped to see a massive, heavy-duty truck parked right next to the safe house. Jiang Weiwei's jaw dropped so wide you could fit an egg inside. Oh my God, where did this truck come from? I chuckled. Where else? It is the reward you earned, of course. I was actually torn earlier about whether to pick an off-road vehicle or an armored car. But given the current situation, getting a heavy truck first seemed like the most reliable choice. If we face another bizarre mutation down the line, this baby might even turn into Optimus Prime, for all I know.